Hello, my name is Rachel Barry, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some significant problems with my show that's all about me, Glee. Oh my gosh, no, I'm totally kidding. I'm not Rachel. I just also happen to be a girl in her late teens to early 20s who has long dark hair and a big nose and who is wearing a sweater and a gold star. So before we get into the video, really quick, I just want to genuinely thank you guys. You guys have been so great recently. The guy who didn't like musicals, How It Changed Star Kid video just recently hit 1,000 views the other day. I believe now it is between 1.1k and 1.2k. I am so grateful for all of the people who watched that video, were impacted by it, commented their own experiences with Star Kid. Thank you very, very much. You guys' comments make me so happy. I love reading them and answering them and hearing you guys' inputs. I love that. So keep them coming because I love hearing what you guys have to say. All right, let's get into the video. Just a little disclaimer. This is a list of things that I believe that Glee did not execute well. I don't mean to take anything away from all of the things that Glee did execute well. I think that the school shooting was quite well done. I think that Coach Beiste leaving Cooter due to his domestic violence was done quite well, but this video is addressing the things that it did not do well. This is also going to be exclusive to things that happened in the show. So I'm not going to be talking about the actors, I'm not going to be talking about how toxic the fandom is, I am not going to be talking about how there are delusional Chris Colfer stans who think that Darren and Chris are in a secret affair. So, none of that. This is my general opinion of the show's progression. Season 1 is great. Seasons 2 and 3 are my favorites, and season 4 is when it starts to lose the plot and go way downhill. Season 5 I think is the worst, and season 6 it picks up a little bit. And we get to see Klaine and Brittana get married, which was great because they're my two favorite couples in the show. So before any Gleeks come at me in the comments or whatever, I just want to say I really, really do enjoy this show. I like that it's self-aware of how ridiculous it is and that a lot of its mistakes it does actually point out at one point or another. So it's good that they're self-aware, which is, you know, more than like Riverdale could say. Nevertheless, there are still several storylines and issues that Glee handled very, very poorly or that I could have done without. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I actually think that most people, even most Gleeks, agree with a lot of this. Before I get to number 10, I'm just gonna do one bonus special mention, and that is their complete and utter lack of respect for the band. I know that this show is about a Glee Club and it's ultimately about the singers, but the lack of respect and appreciation that the band gets, like, they are always there, they're always just sitting there, and they are never treated like humans. Literally, whoever is gonna up and is gonna be like doing a solo or doing a routine, they just turn to them, say hit it, and the band knows exactly what song they're gonna sing. Like, that takes some dedication. Maybe it's just because I'm a band kid, I was never a singer, but the band deserves some appreciation. And they deserve to be treated like human beings and not just like a button that you push and the singer gets all the credit. Okay, that was my special mention. So number 10 is Tina's creepy crush on Blaine. Ugh. Okay. I know that everybody kind of has a crush on Darren Criss, and the bad part isn't that Tina had a crush on Blaine, because obviously you can't control that, you can't control who you have a crush on, but the bad part is that she actually tried to make something happen between them, and that's not good. He's gay. And the Vapo rape scene is probably like one of the cringiest scenes that I have ever watched on this show. It's ugh. I mean, honestly, Kurt's reaction to it is like all of us. He's like, you're in love with Blaine and it's creepy, stop it. Number 9 is Brittany's bisexuality. This one I had a couple of issues with. The first being that when Brittany and Santana first started dating, it was all about Santana. It was all about Santana coming to terms with her own sexuality and her being outed and her, it was just all about her. But based on the events of the first 2 seasons, Brittany had never been in a relationship with a girl either, and nobody really cared that Brittany was in a relationship with a girl. Everybody just cared that Santana was. And you could say, yeah, Brittany was openly bisexual from the beginning, but I don't know if she really was. That wasn't very clear, because she approaches Kurt in the episode where Kurt kind of goes back into the closet and tries to be straight and tells him, I've made out with every guy in the school except you. And with the exception of Santana, Brittany has only dated boys. She's dated Artie, Sam, like the entire football team. We never hear about any other relationship or even fling that she ever had with another girl. There was just a ton of gay characters, but there was no bisexual characters except Brittany, and they didn't do the best job with it. The other issue that I have about Brittany's bisexuality execution in the show is that she slept with the whole school, and I feel like that's just such a stereotype about bisexuals, is that they are these really sexual creatures who have over-the-top sexual desires and they want to sleep with anybody that crosses their path, and that's not true. I mean, with Brittany's case, I kind of get it because she's kind of a child and sex, I know, isn't supposed to mean anything to her because she's, you know, immature and naive. Kind of like Joey Tribbiani, he's like kind of stupid and a man-child, so nothing is really that important to him, including sex. But still, the only bisexual character is the character that is known for sleeping with a bunch of people in the school, and doesn't mean anything. So Brittany's bisexuality and just the bisexual representation in Glee has not really aged all that well. Number 8 is Brittany and Sam's intelligence. I could, you know, go into how Brittany and Sam's relationship was so sickening and incestuous, but instead I'm gonna focus on their intelligence. Since I was just talking about Brittany, let's start with Sam. Sam in season 2 had dyslexia, and the writers completely seemed to forget about that. In season 4, they gave that storyline to Ryder and made Sam an idiot, which is kind of offensive to people with dyslexia, first of all. Second of all, it is a massive plot hole. But, you know, it's Glee. They have a lot of plot holes. And now Brittany. Now, I get that this is supposed to be ironic humor, but it was just too ridiculous and too ironic, at least for my personal taste. The fact that they made her a mathematical genius, it was a bad move. Now, the show definitely started with Brittany being quite ditzy and just not the brightest bulb on the tree, but that really snowballed from there, and it came to the point where she was just over the top, really, really, really stupid. You know, she spent the summer lost in the sewers. She thought that she was pregnant because a stork built a nest on a tree. There was a lot of other times that I could name, but I'm not going to because you know. But then in season 4, they decided it was a good idea to make her a mathematical genius. and that she has the most gifted mind of a generation, and she made the most important mathematical discovery since Albert Einstein. And she was given a full-ride scholarship to MIT. Now, at the risk of sounding pretentious, I actually am a mathematics major, and in seasons 5 and 6, when they kept on trying to say, Brittany's really, really smart, her brain just works differently than most people, I just sit there and shake my head and say, no, she's an idiot. She's just stupid. The whole mathematical genius storyline that they did with Brittany, it wasn't believable. I know it was supposed to be funny, but for my personal comedic taste, for something to be funny, it needs to be believable. So yeah, calling Sam and Brittany into the principal's office and making Sam the really dumb one and Brittany the really smart one, it was offensive to dyslexics. It was not a believable storyline, and in reality, I still believe, after watching the entire series, Brittany is stupid. Number 7, Rachel's TV show. 5 whole seasons of character development right in the toilet. What part of this? How did this show think that this was a good idea? Who thought that this was a good way to go? Rachel's TV show is the title of this problem with the show, but really it also has a bunch of layers to it. Like Rachel's dream school. Dream school is NIADA. And she chokes at her audition and she does not get in. And frankly, she does not deserve to get in based on that audition. But she keeps on bothering Carmen Thibodeau and borderline invading Carmen's privacy to ensure that she will get into NIADA. And she does. She does end up getting in, even though she didn't deserve to. So she's done it. She's gotten into her dream college. She's going to spend the next 4 years there and really improve and learn everything that she needs to know to be a really, really successful star, right? Wrong! She ends up dropping out somewhere at the end of her first year because she got her dream role on Broadway, which, good for her, she makes the perfect Fanny Brice, but it still feels wrong that she would drop out of a school that she worked so tirelessly to get into in the first place. Now, once she is on Broadway, which is the lifelong dream of her life, she has got the lifelong dream role of Fanny Brice, she somehow takes that for granted and quits Broadway to go on TV. I'm sorry, the Rachel Berry that we got to know in these 5 seasons would never do that. There is changing a character throughout the show, it's called a character arc, but then there is just a character turning on a dime for whatever reason, and it's not good. Because that means that Rachel's entire character arc, all of our emotional investment that we put into her journey, is all for nothing, and it is thrown right in the trash. So thanks for ruining Rachel, guys. Number 6 is Santana and Rachel's season 5 feud. It's just so messed up what happened between them in season 5. I just hate it so much. Again, character development just getting ruined and thrown out the window. Santana and Rachel grew to have quite a nice friendship and coexist very well together, and it just all got ruined. Now, there is still the timeless debate of who was right, Santana or Rachel. I think that they were both wrong, but I do gravitate more towards Rachel. Even though Rachel was very wrong too. I mean, she acted like a big baby. Now on to Santana. There are two possible reasons why Santana would possibly go after being the understudy. The first is that she needs the work, which is true. She did need the work, but she still should have talked to Rachel about it first. And the second is to make Rachel mad and to prove to herself that she can beat Rachel and that she can't let that Dorf Barry win. And that's not being a good friend. It's not. But this role was everything to Rachel. She worked hard to get to this point and to get this role since she was a little girl. And her dream was to always play this role on Broadway. And Santana just waltzes in and gets the understudy job, which is fine, but she never had any aspirations of being on Broadway when she was at McKinley. And she actually always kind of made fun of Rachel for wanting to go to Broadway, and she definitely had no intention of doing that herself until Rachel made it big, and Santana's like, oh, well, Rachel's all successful now, and, you know, I don't feel good about myself, so I have to overcompensate for my insecurity by going and trying to get her role and steal it from her, because that was her intention. And Brittany, thank the Lord, told her that you don't care about this, you have to stop and let Rachel have her moment. Your moment will come. Thanks, Brittany. I know I just said that you were stupid, girl, but you know how to handle Santana. And anybody who says that Santana's Don't Rain on My Parade solo is better than Rachel's, it's fine, it's your opinion, but I am going to read a comment that I found that I really, really agree with. This is a comment by the Instagram account Gold Star Metaphor, and they say, might have been a decent solo for Santana, but Rachel still does a better job. She's just a lot more connected to the lyrics, and you can feel her passion when she sings, whereas Santana is just doing it to piss off Rachel and to get a part. Like, for Rachel, it was her dream and everything she ever wanted, but for Santana, it was just a role. And that is very, very, very true. Don't get me wrong, I love both Rachel and Santana, but there are also moments where I really viciously hate both of them. That's really a lot of the characters on Glee, actually, by the end of the series. But yeah, I could have done without that whole feud. If they would have just stayed friends and Santana found another way to be successful, that's great. But the writers had to ruin yet another friendship and yet another character arc. Thanks, writers. Number 5 is Will Schuester being creepy. Okay, I'm not gonna be one of those people who says, Mr. Schue, there was nothing that he ever did right, he was just a bad person. No, I think that his heart was in the right place, but it was really cringy, a lot of the stuff that he did. Some examples of this include him blackmailing Finn with weed, doing a Mexican bullfighting routine on stage, despite being a white man, him being very insensitive about Marley's eating disorder. When she fainted on stage, he was more concerned about them being disqualified rather than if she's okay. And he suspends her, actually, for not wearing a swimsuit on stage, because she's too self-conscious. Which is really problematic. Performing sexy routines and twerking with his students on stage. Fighting for twerking to be allowed in the school, and denying Unique her bathroom rights in order to make that happen. Asking Finn to be his best man. Not having any friends his age, and just overall not really acting his age. Like, I kid you not, probably my favorite Will Schuester scene, or one of them in the whole series, is him finding out that Terry's not pregnant, because it actually shows that he's an adult. Like, this is an adult problem that has nothing to do with his students and them knowing way too much about his personal life. This is about his marriage and he actually is acting his age. And also Matthew Morrison's acting chops in that scene are really, really good. And in The Quarterback, he makes everybody think, or he continues to support everybody thinking that Puck stole Finn's jacket, when in reality, it was him. I get that he didn't want to fess up, but definitely shouldn't have blamed Puck. There are ways in which Mr. Schue is a really, really great teacher. He really supports his students and the dreams of his students, but, you know, rewatching this show, the more you realize, this man should probably be in jail. Which brings me to number 4, which is that Sue should also definitely be in jail. Okay, don't get me wrong, Sue is iconic and she is hilarious. And she is right, sometimes, but this woman needs to get what she deserves. The reality is that she is very, very mean, she is very abusive, and she bullies and harasses people on a daily basis. I remember, her telling her mom, who is Carol Burnett, which is great, I remember her telling her mom, "I don't remember ever having a conversation with you where I didn't feel worse about myself." And that's supposed to be a heartfelt moment where the audience is supposed to feel sympathy for Sue, but I felt absolutely none, because I thought to myself, there are a million students who could say the exact same thing about you. She's just committed so many felonies throughout this show's run. She released hounds in the school, she redirected a flight, she locked Kurt and Blaine in an elevator and made them kiss, while like a little creepy robot version of herself was like, yes! And I get it, Glee's supposed to be over the top, it's supposed to be not realistic, but the people that she has harmed deserve justice. And that is why the episode of season 6, The Rise and Fall of Sue Sylvester, is actually one of my favorites, because she finally gets called out. And again, she is hilarious, she's iconic, she is a total savage, but spoiler alert for Seinfeld, if the Seinfeld characters went to prison at their series finale, Sue definitely should have as well. Number 3, Santana is horrible to everyone and is still somehow always the victim. Now again, don't get me wrong, I love Santana, but there are also moments where I viciously hate her. And frankly, I think it's so hypocritical and just so wrong for Santana stans to treat her like a saint and say that she never did anything wrong in her life, and that her, the fact that she's a lesbian and her internalized homophobia and struggling with her sexuality justifies all that she did, because it doesn't. I understand her treating other people badly, and part of her character arc is because she's a lesbian and she walks around so mad at the world when really she's at war with herself. And I get all of that, that's all fine. And the fact that people are delighted by her and think that her insults are funny is fine to an extent, because some of them are, but some of them are just mean and they go too far. She constantly body-shamed Finn, she body-shamed Rachel and always would mock Rachel's appearance. She threw a dodgeball at Rory, actually hurting him for real, and she laughed it off. And when anybody would do anything close to the same to her, she would get really, really sad, and everybody would see her as the victim, and it's never her fault, and she's just a saint, and she doesn't deserve to be treated this way, even though she treats everybody else that way, many times worse. Which brings me to one of the most controversial incidents in the entire series, and that is Finn outing Santana. I'm gonna start this off by saying what Finn did was wrong. It was wrong, and under no circumstances should somebody be outed. Santana had just gone on a long tangent of personally attacking Finn in a lot of different ways, and things that she knows he's very sensitive about. Finn has this one thing that he knows Santana is sensitive about, and that's what he used to fire back. Now, I said under no circumstances should someone be outed, and that's true. And Finn outed Santana, but what a lot of people fail to remember is that Brittany outed her first. Brittany said on Fondue for Two,
I heard a rumor that Santana plays for the other team, and I can confirm that rumor. It's 100% true.
Wait, what? Brittany, are you serious?
Yes.
That was several months before Finn outed Santana in the hallway, out of anger and out of impulse. And Brittany's was well constructed. She thought about it. It was on the internet in front of Lord knows how many people, and she never gets any hate for it. People also fail to remember that Santana actually almost outed someone herself. She threatened to out Karofsky at the end of season 2 if he wouldn't go through with being her beard.
So you and I are going to be each other's beards. And then we're going to win prom king and queen and rule the school.
What if I say no?
Then I'm going to tell everyone about you and your life will be over.
So even though Santana, again, is iconic and she is quite funny a lot of the time, and I enjoy her a lot of the time, she is probably the biggest hypocrite in the whole show. Okay, these last two are actually problematic. Like, there is no way that anybody could say that the show executed this well. Like, this is actual serious problematic issues that the show totally botched and could potentially be really triggering, and they're not things to be taken lightly. That said, number 2 is Ryder's child molesting story. This one boils my blood. The Glee kids are opening up to each other, and Ryder tells a tragic story about his babysitter who molested him when he was a little boy. And Artie and Sam say, "What? How could you possibly be upset about that? Oh my gosh, that's like every boy's dream. It's such an ego booster. I wish that happened to me." Are you kidding me? And Ryder is so embarrassed about Artie and Sam's reaction that he just falls back and says, "Oh no, yeah, the guys are right. I mean, like the luckiest guy in here." And guess what? Besides Kitty and Ryder confiding in each other because Kitty had a similar experience, the issue is never brought up again. Artie and Sam are never held accountable for what they say to Ryder. They never learn their lesson. They never learn why it's bad. And it just makes me so mad. It's such a double standard still, even today. I remember when I first got to college, there were a bunch of different seminars and talks on sexual harassment. And 100% of the time, 100% of the scenarios that they would come up with, and they came up with a lot, was a man attacking or harassing a woman. And yes, I understand that it is more likely to happen to a woman and it's more a woman's issue. And women are more commonly harassed, but men are harassed too. Women are predators to men as well. It has been known to happen, it has happened, and it's something that needs to be talked about more. Because when a man comes forward and says that, yeah, I was molested by my teenage female babysitter, and everybody else says, "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky," I'm sure that that actually happens. And it's so messed up. And I can't even watch that episode anymore because of that scene. And that it just makes me so mad at Artie and at Sam and at Will for not holding them accountable, and at the writers for not writing some kind of lesson that Artie and Sam could have potentially learned. I'm gonna stop talking about this now because I'm actually getting, like, angry. But that's okay, because number 1 also makes me very, very angry. And ranking these felt wrong because some of them are actually, like, problematic things that the show could have executed better, and some of them are just things that I could have done without. So I know that ranking them is a little bit weird, but these top 2 I think are the things that make me just the angriest. But that said, number 1 is how they handled Marley's eating disorder. Now, I fortunately have never suffered from an eating disorder, but I have personally known a good few people who have, and I can say it's not something that can just be pushed aside and forgotten about. The fact that Kitty was so desperate on making Marley think that she was fat, and the fact that she gave her laxatives, and the fact that she took in Marley's clothes and sewed them in for no reason, was so much worse than anything that Quinn and Santana ever did to Rachel. And the fact that the whole thing just went away overnight, and that Marley forgave Kitty so easily, and they became friends afterwards, it's executed so poorly. Okay, granted, Kitty did grow on me in season 5, and I really, really liked her in season 6, but I can bring myself to say that I like her better than Marley, as I'm discovering that most people can. But I can't bring myself to say that because of what Kitty did to her. Like, it was absolutely inexcusable, psychotic, and pure evil, and there was no reason behind it. Like, if I were Marley, I probably would have tried to get her expelled and sued her. Sue the pants off of that she-demon. I'm going to read a confession that I found on a Glee Confess Instagram page called Mike's Glee. This is what this anonymous person had to say. The way they handled Marley's eating disorder was awful. As someone with an eating disorder, it doesn't go away overnight. And having Marley and Kitty be friends after made me so mad because my eating disorder almost killed me, and I couldn't even talk to anyone who caused it because I would feel so betrayed. A mental health storyline was a good idea, but it was executed so poorly, and I still can't watch the first half of season 4 because it's so triggering and it makes me so mad. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to whoever wrote this, and I think that the first half of season 4 would be very triggering to a lot of people. Alright, finally we are wrapping up this video, but you know, I can't close the video without presenting my honorable mentions, because I love my honorable mentions whenever I rank things. So here are some other problematic or poorly executed areas of Glee that just could have been done either a lot better or not done at all. Brittany and Sam's relationship, the unholy trinity being best friends even though Quinn and Brittany don't even have one conversation alone together and don't interact at all. Slutty season 4 Rachel, Finn and Quinn's relationship in season 2 that was only for status, Mike and Tina having a 2-year relationship and not a proper breakup, Kitty and Puck's fling, which was illegal, Rachel being a terrible friend to Kurt at the end of season 5, and Kurt and Blaine's breakup in season 6. I know that there are probably more that I missed, but I am going to wrap up this video now because it's been a long time. I've been talking a long time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you especially to those of you who have watched this whole thing. Hopefully you agree with some of this. If you disagree or agree, make sure to comment down below your thoughts on anything that I said, or you could comment below your problems with Glee. It could be plot holes, it could be characters, it could be, you know, anything that I mentioned. This doesn't take away from everything that Glee did well, because they did a lot of great things with their storylines too and their characters. And I might make a separate list for that to cancel this one out, because I really do enjoy and love this show. Okay, I love the first 3 seasons of this show, and then it gets, you know, I don't love it as much. But if you liked this video, make sure to like it and subscribe down below. It would mean so much to me if you did. We're gonna have so much fun together if you do end up subscribing. And from the bottom of my heart, I hope that you have a wonderful, amazing day, and don't ever let anybody rain on your parade. Bye!